But for now, we move from Mpumalanga to the Eastern Cape. We take you to East London, wherein the ANC is holding its provincial conference. And I do understand that the press conference has already started. And let's now take you there.
This morning in the PTT. Comrade Jola come in, and he will be followed by the doctor himself, Comrade Aaron Zwaledi, as the convener of the National Executive Committee Eastern Cape deployees here. He will take you through matters that are of concern in regard to the national matters. Jola, please come. Please go to the mic, yes.
Oh, okay.
We won't be having mics moving around.
We want to hear you. Nisanitize the phone and try corona. Molundong. I-conference njengoba besazi sile ngaphambili iqalisile izolo nge-6th iyawuphela nge-8th ngokuya intentions zethu. Izinto zonke ezilungisela i-conference akukho abangayazi isiXhosa, babakhona abangasazi isiXhosa mangaphansi izandla. Uyabona bapha bayakwazi ngaphansi izandla, that means bayasazi. As we announced earlier on, colleagues, the Provincial Conference of the African National Congress started yesterday, the 6th, and ends, in terms of our plans, on the 8th. Yesterday, it was about the registration of all the delegates, 1,500 strong voting delegates, and approximately 200 non-voting delegates that are supporting the work of the ANC in the Eastern Cape for the successful conference. We have done everything necessary for the conference in terms of its own preparations, and we are certain from the last meeting of the provincial task team today that we are ready to commence with the conference as early as 10 o'clock today. Today, the person that will be opening from the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress, who has been deployed for this conference, is Comrade Gwede Mandashe, and we have been told by the national leadership that the president will come to close the conference of the Eastern Cape, which are good news for the peoples of the Eastern Cape. There is, of the 1,500 delegates that are voting, they are coming from all the regions of Eastern Cape in varying numbers. And from the leagues of the African National Congress, 30 per each of the leagues, ANC Youth League, ANC Women's League, and ANC Veterans League. We have dealt with all matters pertaining to the disputes and disputes resolutions processes, both between the national and provincial dispute resolutions committees. And last night, they had their own last session as of 12 midnight, because there were some dispute flowing into the system. So all those particular matters pertaining to the disputes were dealt with adequately. The last branches to run were as of yesterday by 12 o'clock, as directed by the dispute resolutions mechanisms. So all those particular branches did rerun. I know that, as a matter of fact, that many of our colleagues will be still asking about whether Khubusana branches and Krisani branches will participate. Indeed, all the eligible branches in those particular regions will be participating in the conference. And therefore, the due diligence exercise was done by the National Office of the African National Congress, working in collaboration with the province of the Eastern Cape, to cleanse of the organizational data of all those that will have been manipulated into the system, and as a consequence of that, all those have been removed from the system. And therefore, out of that particular process, the NDRC PRGC also was infused to make determination of some of those particular branches in terms of their eligibility to participate in the conference of the African National Congress. And as a consequence of that, Khubusana has 40 branches that will be fully participating in the conference of the ANC. Krisani will be having 97 branches that will be fully participating in the conference of the African National Congress. There will have been some of the branches whose status in terms of the ANC constitution are eligible, But because of the manipulation processes, those particular branches was agreed that because they qualify in terms of the ANC constitutional provisions to participate, but because there are questions about their own credibility given the manipulation, the decision of the leadership of the organization was that such branches must participate fully and their votes will be quarantined. Now, in terms of the content of the conference, we have got 7 commissions, and those commissions, we had what is called a pre-conference discussion. I think it was Monday. All the commissions did sit. Whether it's about the renewal of the organization, whether it's about the health, education, whether it's about the well-being of the state capabilities, ethical state, those particular commissions did sit. And came with good proposals, which will be sent to all the commissions that will be sitting evening today and tomorrow morning. And such, we have just agreed, colleagues, that you must be shared such information at appropriate times or appropriate intervals. Once the commission makes presentation, they will come and brief yourselves so that you can at least understand the content of what the ANC is dealing with as part of the transformation of both the capabilities of the organization to discharge its own responsibilities and the capabilities of the organization to discharge its own responsibility in terms of the social transformation. So we are there in terms of that particular process. So we are ready to start the conference, and the provincial task team has directed that the provincial conference of the Eastern Cape, 9th provincial conference of the ANC Eastern Cape, must start. We can't wait beyond this period. And all the delegates outside who have been registered, accredited, more than 90% of them are ready to get into the conference venue, see it, feel it, and have good songs and have a better collegial discussion about the direction of the renewed and united organization in the Eastern Cape as part of our contribution into the national process of renewing and collectively uniting the organization to prepare it for the battles ahead. Thank you very much. Abantu bakwazi ukukhathela pho. Abana makhano akwazi ukukhathela. Dan atazulu.
Yeah, thank you very much. Coordinator and the chairpersons of this session. As it was already said, I just want to outline the issues of the NEC as instructed by the SGO headed by the Treasurer General. As you know, well, let me first start by saying the conference is on, because this is the question that is being asked all the time. The conference is on and is starting at 10 o'clock. And that has been confirmed by the joint meeting of the PTT and the NEC deployees, which took place from 7 o'clock this morning. The conference is on. Comrades, as you know, each province has got NEC deployees who are in charge there, who have been elected long ago, immediately after the last conference. So the deployees for Northern Cape, for Eastern Cape, I don't know what's wrong with me. I never slept, comrade, please forgive me. I didn't sleep very well, very busy up to early hours of this morning. Yes, the deployees here, as you know, were chaired by the late Professor Thengiwe Mkhize. I've just taken over. I'm not more than 3 months at this job, so I'm still learning. So I'm the convener. The other person is Comrade Ronald Lamola. Comrade Nomvula Mkonyana, who you know in organizing, she's also a deployee here, by the way. She's come in 2 roles. Comrade Senzo Mkunu, who is the head of organizing politically, but is also a deployee here. Comrade Tabam Makwetla, Comrade Faith Mutambi, Comrade Tony Ngeni, and Comrade Zizi Kodwa. We are all deployees here, but because of this conference, the Treasurer General reinforced the team, and it has been reinforced by Comrade Gwen Ramokhopa, who you know is now the coordinator in the SG's office. If she comes around, she'll be the most senior member of the team. Comrade Pule Mabi, who you know more than you, I know him because we deal with him every day. Comrade Tahota Lokhete, who has convened this press conference, and Comrade Colin Maile. 2 members of the NDRC have also been deployed. The chairperson of the NDRC, National Disciplinary Committee of Appeal, is Mduduzi Manana. He's not here, but he has deployed 2 members, not Kolokivit and Comrade Kapalanga, who are dealing with disputes as they arise. They worked up to 12 o'clock last night, finalizing whatever disputes. Now, the main thing I want to explain, which confused people in other provinces, we have got NEC resident members of the Eastern Cape. People who are NEC members, but they come from here and they stay here, and they do come home most of the time from wherever they are. Those people will come as guests. They won't participate in the committees, but they will be allowed, like NEC members, because they are senior, to be members of this conference. Now, this is how NEC members are deployed. There is a conference steering committee. I'm in charge of that. I'll work with Comrade Faith Mtambi in the steering committee of the conference. The steering committee consists of the province. We are there not to run them, but to oversee them, to see that correct things are being done in terms of the rules of the National Executive Committee. The other committee will be a drafting committee in which we have deployed Ronald Lamola, Tabam Magweta, and Tony Yengen. The other committee will be the elections. The elections team, again, is a provincial one, but somebody from national must oversee them, and that's going to be Comrade Senzo Mkunu. And then Comrade Zizi Kotwa will be in security. I've already told you Comrade Gwen Ramohoba will be the most senior. Pule Mabi and Takota will naturally belong to drafting and running press conferences and brief, helping you to be briefed all the time. I think that's all I needed to say. Thank you very much. Did I forget something? Yes, credentials obviously is Comrade Nomvola, because she's also in organizing. She's also part of the credentials committee. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Now it's the time for us to take questions. I don't know if you are satisfied and therefore don't need to ask anything, but if you need more information in relation to what they presented and what we are about today, please feel free to raise your hands. All right, looks like, oh, okay. We've got 2 at the back. 1, 2, sorry, before I continue, how many hands? Just 2. Oh, 3. All right, 1, 2, 3, and in that order. 4, okay.
I'm dealer from ENCA. Just from the coordinator, something about, I'm not sure if it was questionable branches that the votes will be quarantined. Can maybe we get better explanation in terms of what that means for those branches and what it means for the conference outcome on the sort of the votes will be quarantined?
Thank you so much. Number 2.
It's JJ from the Sunday World. Same on the quarantining. Do we know how many delegates whose votes are going to be quarantined? And secondly, I got some messages from some people who came to be delegates, from both Sarah Batman and Howard Tambo. They claim that they have not been given their packages. Are you able to tell us, like, why? I think there are about 17 of these delegates who claim that they still have not received their packages. They were not given.
Thank you so much. Just clarity on that so that they're able to respond to your question specifically. We need to know who has not been given a package. I will leave that to you. You can just write a note to give us those names so that they don't just go to
They told me according to their branches. I've got the branches on my phone there for you.
All right, you can just forward that. I'll give you the phone.
No,
so
it's not that one. It's
Bafuni bag. All right, we'll deal with that. They want their conference bags.
Packages.
That's what is a package, yeah? Okay, we'll get that. Number 3. Number 3, please take your question.
of Eastern Wevelap from the Daily Dispatch. Number one, the status of the verification report. Can we be updated on it? And also the quarantine of the votes. Are we talking about the Khubusana region? And are they going to be quarantined up until the outcome of the court, May 31? And then also, how many overall in the province, how many branches are not going to participate in the conference? Thanks.
Quarantine, court, how many are not going to participate? Capture that well. And overall. All right, over to you.
Thank you. Tigi Madia from PWN. I think the question about the amount of delegates affected has already been asked. Dr. Mtwaledi, yesterday you spoke about the cut-off times around the disputes, but you speak about disputes still continuing to be dealt with now. Yesterday the cut-off time was at midnight. Are they still dealing with the disputes, and why is it that they're doing so, if they are, when there was a cut-off time that was set out already? Regarding the branch general meetings that were running yesterday, some people did raise concerns that they're worried about this conference and credentials really, when you have last-minute branch general meetings taking place as delegates are registering. Then my third one, just the amount of NEC deployees here, just to try and understand the reasoning. In Mpumalanga, there were a lot of NEC deployees, and the explanation there was, well, it's the first, it's been COVID, what. Just understanding around here, is it again cause for concern about how sideways things can possibly go? I'm not getting worked up, I'm just asking. And that's it.
Thank you so much. Those were the okay.
Sipamanda Koke from ENCA. I'm confident that you have done everything according to the book. Are you not worried that there is a possibility of this conference being challenged in court in the near future?
Thank you so much. I'll hand over to the provincial coordinator to respond to some of those issues whilst I'm awaiting the branches that need their packages.
Package, yeah, package. Nina, there's many packages. Not yet. But at least there's many packages. Colleagues, let me just deal with a few things. Comrade Mtwaledi will deal with other substantive issues as she is our senior leader here. The claimed delegates who have not yet been registered, I have said to yourselves here and now that 90% of delegates have been registered already. What that means is that not all the branch delegates have been registered. And therefore, it may be that part of that about is part of those particular branch delegates, whether it's Sarah Padman or Tambo. Where there are issues of disputes, the dispute resolution mechanism is still active, not on the basis of new disputes, but attending to all disputes. The only what Comrade Mtwaledi was speaking about, that at the end of the disputes, submissions on new things was of yesterday. But if there are things that are cropping out, then the dispute resolution mechanisms are still active for the conference duration up until it concludes. Is there any other thing for me? No. The verification report. Comrade Mtwaledi will deal with the quarantine because he has more experiences than myself. Pardon? Yeah. The issue of the verification report, the verification report has been signed off and therefore is ready for the purpose of the conference. The only element that I should add to that, which you will know, get it from your friends, is that as we proceed with the conference, there are branches that set yesterday, and of those branches that set yesterday, already 7 were guaranteed status into the conference through the verification report. And in updating, therefore, the verification report, such will be infused into the verification report through what is called an addendum. It's one of the practices that that is practical in the African National Congress processes. I think that's that. I don't think there is anything that I left unanswered from my side.
Package people get packaged when they register.
Well, people all yes, I think I talked about it. Everybody who is supposed to be getting a package will get a package in the registration point. All packages are distributed in the registration point. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Let's just clarify. No ANC provincial conference or regional conference ever starts without the Secretary General or the Deputy Secretary General or the acting signing a verification report. So when I said the conference is on, it's because the verification report has been signed. If it's not signed, we will sit and wait until it's signed. So let's just get that very clear. The first two questions is about this issue of quarantine. It's not happening for the first time. If there are issues with branches in the ANC conference, and it has not yet been very clearly clarified, or it's not known how materially they will affect the conference, they are allowed to participate when that ruling is made, and then they get color-coded or quarantined. And then the conference go on, and the voting go on, and their votes are put aside. Then, at the end of everything, we check whether their participation will materially change the conference either way. And then a decision is made on that. That if these branches are counted, the conference will change substantially. That's what we mean by quarantining. Now, which branches are being quarantined? I'm sure you know this story. It has been repeated many times. The branches in Obusang and Chris Hani, who themselves picked, and we debated this issue yesterday, they picked that somebody is putting members which they don't know about. In the past, they may not have picked that up. Yesterday, I told you, ANC branches are now empowered to welcome new members officially. They are given a list. So these ones just saw themselves growing and growing about members they didn't know about. They reported this matter, and this issue happened last year. They reported this matter to organizing to check. And indeed, it was found that there are people who will call bogus members who were infiltrated into those branches. In many of those cases, it's not the branches themselves who did so. Somebody was contaminating them, perhaps maybe trying to render them out of any conference because they are contaminated. And so some branches were able to pick it up. When they went to BGMs, they excluded all the contaminated members and say, you don't come because we don't know where you came from. In some branches, one or two people did participate and they did not pick that up. And that's where the argument is. Those are the ones who will be quarantined and say, let's see, because the argument, which even went to national officials, was that when you contaminate me, do I then get punished for that? Do you exclude the branch because somebody contaminated deliberately? The people who contaminated are already going through a DC. We won't disclose the name, and they don't even belong to those branches, some of them. They belong to the national organizing team. And the question is, why did they contaminate those branches? They are the ones that are being quarantined. Otherwise, any other branch that need to participate will fully participate in terms of the credentials committee. Status of verification, I think I've already answered that. The issue of cutoff point. Yes, I've already announced that there are two members of the National Credentials Committee. National Dispute Resolution, not Credentials Committee. And there's a provincial one. ANC branches lodge dispute at every available opportunity. Any member who feels that they are not satisfied, and that can happen forever, because not everybody will be. It's like a court of law. Not everybody gets satisfied. If people are allowed to keep on appealing, they will do so forever. I'm sure you are aware that that happens a lot in South Africa, where people appeal and appeal and appeal and appeal and appeal. Yes, so maybe it's the culture of our democracy. Now, to deal with that issue, the NDRC said the final hour of appeal is 12 o'clock last night to deal with anything. It's 12 o'clock last night. Why? Because there were still some branches that were being rerun, and the rerunning ordered by the NDRC itself. In other words, when the Credentials Committee finalizes, somebody lodges a dispute, the NDRC sit, and the verdict is that the branch must be rerun. And if a branch is rerunning, somebody is waiting and looking. Oh, they did not rerun according to their want. They lodge another dispute. Those are the ones where we said by 12 o'clock, it must be the end. But the Dispute Resolution Committee is still here for those disputes. That might have been lodged long ago and there's no verdict yet. Because we do have them. And there's no verdict until the credentials are accepted by the conference. There will be those. There are branches that, as I'm speaking now, are changing delegates. And there are various reasons why you change a delegate. You have been chosen in a branch meeting. There might be death in the family or an emergency. You can no longer come. And that's why branches have got alternatives. And some people may also query that, and somebody has to deal with that also. The question, Thidi, were you asking why there are so many NEC deployees?
Yeah, the reinforcements. And Mpumalanga was explained as, it was the fence.
Yes, that's...
There seem to be reasons why there's so much interest in the NEC.
No, look, in Mpumalanga, it was resident members who were there. That's why today we had to clarify it. It was resident members who, it was not known that they are going to attend the conference, and they got interest and they were all there. So we had to clarify that each province has got resident members, and if they happen to be there today, they are guests in the conference, so that we no longer repeat what happened in Mpumalanga. They are guests. It's not that NEC members should not be allowed, but we're just avoiding questions like those. Yeah, and I've already told you about all the resident members. The others that have reinforced the conference here, if you look at them, there are people at the national office full-time, like Comrade Dakota, Comrade Gwen. They are full-time. They've got information on their fingertips. They've got files. So they have to be around. They are the ones who are reinforcing. Otherwise, the NEC members who are going to run the conference are the normal Eastern Cape deployees, which I'm convening. Sipamandla court case. South Africa is a very litigious country, as you know. People rush to court at the right provocation. And that's why we are trying to do things according to book. If anybody goes to court, well and fine. You are aware that almost all, quite a number of regional conferences have been court cases. Some have been dismissed, some have been upheld, but life went on. So even this, the previous conference was litigated. After all said and done, we are trying to do everything by the book. But if still somebody rushes to court, we'll respond accordingly. And we expect it to happen anytime in South Africa because of the litigious nature of our nation. And also because it's a democratic right of people to resort to the courts to be the last arbiters of whatever you are doing. Thank you very much.
Colleagues, we are behind schedule now. The provincial chair, Comrade Mabuyani, Comrade Gwede Mantashe, is supposed to open the conference by now, by 10 o'clock. That's the time we've set. It will be an open session. You are also invited. But the period when we deal with the credentials, it's going to be a closed session. So we expect your cooperation from time to time. But from our side, as Luthuli House, as the National Executive Committee, we would like to commend the leadership of the ANC in the province of Eastern Cape for ensuring that we host a successful provincial conference. They've pulled up all the stops to ensure that we arrive at this moment. And from our side, as the leadership from headquarters, we are happy. What is going to happen now is that we are invoking the provisions of Rule 12.2.4 of the ANC. As head office, will be here to support the province to ensure that they host a successful provincial conference. So we want to say to all of you, you are more than welcome to join us. From time to time, we'll call you for an update, and that is basically what is going to happen. We are very happy so far with the work of the province. All right.
Just few things that need clarity that I would think would be of much interest on the issue of some branches that you asked about. Provincial coordinator, please. Thank you so much. Just it's a minute that is going to respond to, and then we all go to the venue.
Thanks very much. The only question that we left it unanswered is the number of the branches that are participating in the conference. Currently, is 614 branches that are participating. We'll add some of the branches as the information drips in. Secondly, we will also subtract some of the NDRC outcomes. I think that was the element. The second element is that I have given you all those branches that are going to participate in Khubusana and Krisani, excluding those that will be quarantined. So the quarantine, the 40 branches of Khubusana have full rights without being quarantined. The 97 of Krisani have full rights outside the quarantine. I want us to clarify that particular thing. Thanks.
That's good.
Thank you so much, colleagues. We may now adjourn and go to the conference venue. Thank you.